I mounted LP SmartSide panels to my shed, but did I use the right fasteners or did I create a nightmare? Yeah, I used the wrong fasteners. It's a mess. Hola! I'm Mike, and what did I do now? I paneled my shed. No, you're not seeing double. I released 2 videos at the same time on siding panel problems. Consider me your creature double feature teacher as I drive a stake through the heart of LP SmartSide. Well, drive a screw through the... Okay, the metaphor is getting a bit stretched. Using LP SmartSide is similar to the 1970s interior paneling your mom used on your living room walls, except it's engineered to survive a rainstorm instead of a fondue party or your crayons. Oh, I should put linoleum floors in my shed. Just like that old paneling, if you don't mount LP SmartSide right, it's going to wave and buckle the second humidity hits. Let's talk about the fastener options for LP SmartSide. This is a maze spiral nail, double hop dip zinc. It will not rust. They have a small head that easily fits in the groove. The spiral shank causes the nail to actually rotate as you drive it, giving it a screw-like grip. These are the Rolls-Royce of American-made nails. An important note is LP SmartSide requires that at least 1.5 inches of the fastener go into the stud. These nails are 2 inches. For an 8x8 shed, you only need to do that about 600 times. Not an exaggeration. I know, manual nailing is kind of like writing in cursive. When's the last time you did that? I actually practiced this and I still can't drive the nails straight. This is the specified way to mount an LP Smart panel because, while engineered, it is organic wood which expands and contracts with moisture in the air. A panel can expand as much as 1/4 inch over 8 feet. The reason screws don't work is their clamping force is not just the size of the screw head, it's spread out over a radius from the screw, preventing the panel from sliding along the stud as it tries to expand. Although the nail shanks are in the way, as long as they are not overdriven, the clamping force of nails is very low. So while a panel can't, and generally doesn't, expand evenly, the material can move around the nails. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Mike, how are you so good at discovering how to do things right after you've done them so wrong? I don't know. It's my superpower, I guess. Welcome to my channel. But you're also thinking, I have to hammer 600 nails into an 8x8 foot shed, and actually more than 600 because I would never waste my time building a shed as small as yours. Well, I like the way you think. That's probably why we're friends. No, I didn't hammer in all those nails manually. I drove in screws with an impact driver. I used these zinc electroplated construction screws. The process looks like this and scares the bejeebus out of the cat. Yeah, I have massive clamping force. I broke the primer coating, split the wood fibers. It doesn't even look that good because the head is too wide for the groove. On top of that, zinc electroplating is inferior and any scratches from installation will eventually rust. On top of that, I spent 2 hours going over every screw head with caulk, and not the good kind, the kind that's going to dry out and crack and let moisture in to rust these screws. So what could happen? On a humid day, the shed could be under so much pressure that it just blows apart. Not really. The initial things I have to watch for is cracking around the screws and seams, and worst case scenario, I get some oil canning, which looks like this. The surface gets wavy. So what should I do? It's too late for me. Save yourself! I'll show you what to do. The easiest and most expensive way is to buy a siding nail gun. These have a skinny nozzle that will fit in the grooves. Unfortunately, these guns are $300 plus, so no, I don't have one. Duh. Yes, there are cheaper options, but the reviews indicate those are junk. This is an option for the pros. Not a lot of DIYers have a siding nail gun due to their price and one-time use. Another consideration that you should definitely not consider is a staple gun. It sounds like a great shortcut. It's fast, staples are cheap, and even the gun is cheap, but it's fool's gold. The LP SmartSide documentation is littered with don't use staples, don't use staples, don't use staples. Like my overdriven screws, a staple pinches the panel tight against the wall and doesn't let it expand. Staples have a narrow top. High winds can easily pull the siding right over the head of the staple, leaving the staple in the wall and your siding in the neighbor's yard. Standard 16 gauge staples are often just bright steel or lightly galvanized. They'll rust in a few seasons, leaving an ugly black streak down the side of the shed. I don't have a pneumatic medium crown stapler to demo, but I have this one. Well, I don't know what that showed you, but it showed you something. Next option, a roofing nailer. This initially sounds like a winner because it has a depth setting. Fact is, the heads are just way too big for the groove. They're almost the same size and it's very difficult to be precise with a roofing nailer, so it's really difficult to get that nail centered. My roofing gun is technically an 1/8 of an inch short. I can only do a 1 3/4 inch nail with it, and using this 3/8 siding, it comes to close enough. Kind of makes a mess of the grooves. It really messes up the coating. It double nailed on me twice, but hold that thought. So how about a framing nailer? This could work. I have galvanized 2-inch nails and my Metabo gun has a height adjustment. It helps to get the depth right if you crank down the pressure to 80 psi. I tried turning it lower than that, but the gun starts misfiring. There's a caveat to this. The tip of the frame nailer is pretty aggressive. It's recommended that if you use these for siding, you should replace the nose with a plastic one or at least put electrical tape on it. I'm doing neither because this is a demo. Who cares? Like the roofing nailer, it's kind of hard to get on center, and as you may have guessed, it doesn't go all the way down into the groove. You have to finish the nail with a hammer and punch, but it saves you about 2/3 of the work, so this is viable. So how about screws? I already ruled out construction screws through experience. The bugle heads on construction screws dig into the coating and splinter the wood, which allows moisture in, and as I said earlier, it's too much clamping force. These GRK trim screws were recommended to me. I'm not exactly sure why. I couldn't confirm from another source that they were a good idea. They're trim screws, not siding screws. I guess they sound good in theory because they have a good bite and the small screw head sinks into the panel with minimal distortion. The problem is, it doesn't have much holding power. If I can't recommend staples to you, I sure as heck can't recommend these. There's got to be a better way, right? I've got some solutions that don't involve antiquated actions, like writing an entire manuscript in cursive with a pen and ink. What were those founding fathers thinking? Didn't they have an inkjet printer and a Mac? The first solution is screws with a flat bottom. These are modified truss head wood screws. As long as you don't overdrive them and apply too much or any clamping power, they should act just like a nail. Of course, the downside is you can't really hide these, and quite frankly, the heads are too big. These are number 8 thread. I couldn't find 6s that are 2 inches long with a truss head, so maybe that's not the greatest solution. The Big Boss solution is not as fast as screwing right through the siding and into the wood, but it's faster than swinging a hammer like a caveman. A countersink. Seriously, I wish I did this on my shed. You have to pre-drill the hole for the screw, and while that's another step, pre-drilling is not a bad idea anyway. Then countersink the hole. This size is perfect because it's the same size as the screw head. So as soon as the edges of the countersink touch the surface, it's good. Careful not to overdrive the screw. The idea is minimal disturbance to the material and minimal clamping force. Set the clutch on your drill driver. Don't use an impact driver. No! It would need a dab of primer to patch up not only the wood, but also to protect the screw that inevitably had its cheap surface scratched. This is a pretty good solution. Can we make it better? Before showing you the final solution, is the solution the silver bullet you were looking for? Like this video. Does the solution vanquish your fastener problem? Then like this video. Did this solution keep you from going batty? Okay, I just realized I'm asking you to like the video before you even know what the solution is. I should show you the solution. So how can we make a good solution even better? A lot of the focus is on getting the fasteners into the grooves, and rightfully so, it's a challenge. But a little math unveils the actual workflow. The average 4x8 panel gets 62 fasteners. The inner field, meaning the grooves, gets one fastener on 16-inch studs every 12 inches. That's only 14 screws. You'd make quick work of that with my countersink technique, while along the edges, there's a fastener every 6 inches, which comes to 48, assuming you are double nailing the overlaps, and we don't even need to worry about no stinking grooves. So what to do at the edges? You have two options.
Pew, 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 pew.
No grooves to worry about, so either nail gun will work. Just make sure the depth is set so you don't crush the surface. The frame nailer works really well, although occasionally you may have to finish them manually with a hammer unless you have the adjustment and the PSI dialed in. The roof nailer is designed to finish flush so it's easier to dial in. It leaves these big giant heads, but paint hides a lot. Of the two, I'd say the framing nailer has the edge. You need 2-inch nails, and 2-inch roofing nails are not as common. Plus, you can get the framing nails hot dipped in zinc while the roofing nails are electroplated. Plus, if it came down to it, I wouldn't want to use the one that keeps double nailing. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Mike, doing a double feature must have been a monstrous amount of work. Yes, it was. Thank you for noticing. Though not as difficult as coming up with all of those horror metaphors. That was scary. Why'd I do that to myself? But you're also thinking, you have the LP SmartSide manual. Why didn't you just read it before mounting the panels? I don't use maps. I refuse to turn around even if it's the wrong way. And I don't ask for help when I get lost. Why would I read the instructions? Besides, it's interesting to see what happens when I don't read the instructions. Next video, I read the instructions. Everything went fine. Man, I got sleepy just saying that. Oh, I've got a fan online. Hey, fan, did you like the video?
You had that mad scientist vibe going on there, buddy. But, I think you need to be the guy that reads the instructions first.
Thanks, fan. Watch more episodes of What Did Mike Do Now every Wednesday, noon Eastern. But you don't have to wait. This is a double feature. Now that you know what fasteners to use, go watch all the right and wrong ways to install siding. Avoid what I did, building a Frankenstein's monster. Don't use the instructions.
The HOA says you got 3 code violations and a curse. I see there that you have a can-do attitude. You can do oil canning on your shed.